Uh-oh. Someone learned to hit the long ball. Well, at least for one night anyway. Cardinals unload on the Chicago Cubs in game one. Let's do it.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafford, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Follow me on X at JD Sports Radio. The podcast also available on X at LO_Cardinals. We're on YouTube. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. Come find us. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Don't you love it when you're getting ready to start something and you got to talk and the drink you took goes down like the wrong side? It's awesome. Anyway, not going to ruin our mood, is it? The St. Louis Cardinals brought out those whooping sticks again on Monday night. My goodness, what the hell did them boys eat before they took the field? Chicken, steak, shrimp, sushi, pasta, whatever it was. Make sure that that meal is in this clubhouse again on Tuesday, because the boys were swinging it in game one as they take apart the Chicago Cubs by a score of 8-2. It's a beautiful thing when the Cardinals do things like this. It's more amplified when it is against your division rival, the Chicago Cubs. Now, it didn't really get cooking for the Cardinals until that fourth inning. It was a pitcher's duel up to that point. And the first time through the order, Cubs starter Ben Brown looked pretty darn good. You can see why why they like this kid. You know, he's got good life on the fastball. He's got that wipeout knuckle curve. But there's one thing the Cardinals have been pretty darn good at so far this year, and that's making adjustments. You know, it doesn't work all the time. Obviously, Sunday, Andrew Abbott picked them apart. But in this one, the Cardinals were able to figure some things out. They knew that Ben Brown struggled against right-handed pitchers, or struggled against left-handed hitters as a right-handed pitcher. They got a chance to see him the first time through, and second time around, they took full advantage, kind of knew what was coming from Mr. Brown. Lars Nootbaar lifted his 10th dinger over the right field wall to give them that 2-0 lead. Got ahead 3-0 in the count. Brown got it back to 3-2, but it was back-to-back knuckle curves. And, you know, after you've seen it a couple times, you're like, all right, I kind of get the gist of it. And Noot just lifted it, put it up into the air and got it out. Off the bat at first, I was a little shocked it carried quite as far as it did, but ended up going quite deep into the seats in right field. Wilson Contreras had just doubled right ahead of him on that same pitch. Second time around through the order, you got a better feel on what the break is, and boom, not only did it give the Cardinals that lead, but it was with 2 outs, which we all know is like lemon juice into the wound, because it happens to the Cardinals sometimes pretty frequently. So obviously you knew that was a good thing. Cubs answered right back in the top half of that inning, but they got out of a jam, a nice 5-4-3 double play turned by the Cardinals that really took momentum away from the Cubs again and brought it back over to the Cardinals side of things. Pedro Pages takes a walk, and then Brendan Donovan gets a heater right down the middle. Couldn't have put it on a tee any better than what he got there. He rips it over the wall. 109.4 off the bat of Donnie, his 5th home run of the season to make it 4-1 Cardinals. And a reminder, when we talk about Brendan Donovan, can you please go vote for the All-Star game and vote for Donnie? If anyone on this roster really deserves a spot at the All-Star game, it is Brendan Donovan, right? And I know Ketel Marte is going to win the second base vote. It's going to happen. But I think Donnie was like 5th, I think is where he's sitting right now in the rankings. And that's absurd. That just means we're being lazy as Cardinal fans. You can vote 5 times a day. So get to it. He deserves more recognition. Next batter, Mason Wynn, who works another walk and brings in arguably the hottest hitter on the planet, who's not named Cal Raleigh at the moment. And that man is Alec Burleson, who continues to hit bad pitches for home runs. When I say that, I don't mean it was like a bad pitch like Donnie's, where he just laid in a heater right down the middle. He hits a changeup that it's up. It's probably not even a strike. If it nicks the top of the zone, maybe. Don't have ABS. So I doubt somebody was going to call this one a strike, but it might have grazed the top of the zone. But not an ideal pitch normally when you're looking at, okay, this is going to be your hot zone that you're going to swing at pitches. That's not normally where you're going to be swinging. But Burley is hacking at almost anything he wants to these days, and he's putting good wood on the ball. He drives it over the right field wall. Kyle Tucker's neck had to be getting sore. Had to be getting worn out looking at those folks in the seats out there. 6-1 Cardinals, and all is well in the world. Sixth inning, it's the Nolan's turn to have a little bit of fun. Arenado leads off with a single to left field to bring up Gorman, who, like most Cardinals, were attacking Brown early. He gets the old number one over the heart of the plate, but down right where the lefties love him, and he sends an absolute missile over the right center field wall, his 5th of the season. That makes it 8-1. And if you're counting at home, and I'm sure you are, that is 4 2-run home runs for the Redbirds in this game. Last time they did that, September of 2020, they pulled it off against the Detroit Tigers. Your heroes that day, Yadier Molina, probably heard of him. Tyler O'Neill, got his towel right back here behind me. Lane Thomas, who's gone on to have a pretty nice career at other places other than St. Louis. And then, of course, the legendary Rangel Ravello, who hit 3 major league home runs in his career. One of them was part of that group in 2020. So you look at the blueprint here. Newt deep in his count because Brown didn't throw him strikes right away, but Donovan swinging on the second pitch. Burley, first pitch. Gorman, first pitch. After the game, Burleson said that we each had an idea of what he was trying to do to each of us, and we had good individual plans and a good team approach. We were able to execute those plans with runners on, and that helps. And there was a plan, clearly, and it was executed perfectly. Far too often last couple seasons, I would say, it appeared the Cardinals had no plan whatsoever when they would come up to the play. They would just, let's swing real hard and hope for good things. This year, it has been different. Hitting coordinator Brant Brown has been awesome for this club and with these guys, and they bought in, and it's working because a Cardinals offense, which doesn't have, when you go look at it on paper, there's not one guy where you're just like, oh boy, look out. You've got some good guys, Wilson Contreras, Nolan Arenado, but now you're getting Burleson. You've got Gorman. You got Donovan. You've got Newt when he's feeling right. You got the speed of Victor Scott. There's a lot of good stuff in this order. It doesn't have to be, riddled with superstars up and down the lineup, but if they're all pretty good, that's tough. That is really tough. There's just no, what's the word we've said? Relentless. And that's the kind of offense that they have to be to continue to win games. And Monday's barrage, it just kind of added to the home run misery for the Cubs, whose pitching staff, they got beat up over the weekend by Seattle. Now 4 more home runs against them on Monday. And they got to be wondering, like, what the hell is going on here? Because you want to bring up the weather conditions at Wrigley Field over the weekend, that's fine. We know things can get goofy at Wrigley Field when the wind is rolling like that. But that wasn't the case at Busch Stadium. No excuses there. Can't blame the wind. Cardinals were just out hitting the Cubs. That's really what happened. Out slugging them. Worked for the Mariners in the previous weekend. And then it worked for the Cardinals on Monday night. Is that something they can sustain? I doubt it. That's not the team that they have been throughout the season. But the other side of the coin here is not only did the Cardinals hit well, but they were able to slow down the Cubs offense. So enter Matthew Liberatore, who was awesome in this game. We're going to talk about his start coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. Hey guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, something different, it's time to meet Rugiet Ready. Rugiet Ready is it's a next-gen prescription treatment, and it's designed to amplify the arousal in the brain and boost the blood flow, which we know is key to getting things moving. If you know what I'm talking about. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rugiet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves right under the tongue, and it kicks in super fast. On average, we're talking 15 minutes before you start feeling the effects, and they can last up to 36 hours. So you'll be able to feel confident and in control when the moment is right for you. And if traditional options haven't worked for you right now, Rugiet might be the answer. With over 150,000 men having already made the switch, why not give it a try? You'll love the fact that it's completely online. Rugiet connects you with a board-certified doctor. It'll ship the treatment discreetly to your door. You don't have to go do any of those awkward doctor visits. Guys don't like to go see the doctor in the first place. especially for things like this, right? So head to Rugiet.com/LockedOnMLB and use code LockedOnMLB to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnMLB. Use the promo code LockedOnMLB for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rugiet website for full safety information. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave comments on YouTube as well as on X. It was a lot of happy Cardinal fans last night, talking about how well the offense showed up and how fun that was to see the Cardinals kind of put it on the Cubs, at least for once. Good pitching, though, usually beats good hitting. That's the phrase that, has been around since baseball was invented. And on Monday, Matthew Liberatore certainly proved that right with his performance against the Cubs, who, they're one of the top offenses in the game. We went over all the firepower that they have in the last episode. The Cardinals killer, Ian Happ, opening things up at the top of the order, has just mauled the Cardinals over the years. Kyle Tucker, Seiya Suzuki, Pete Crow Armstrong, Dansby Swanson batting cleanup, which I was like, but hey, that's what they wanted to do. Nico Horner, Carson Kelly. There's just not a lot of weaknesses up and down their lineup, but don't tell Matthew Liberatore that, because he came out and looked as good as he has since the end of May. 7 innings against the Diamondbacks on May 24th, 1 run, 4 strikeouts. Since then, he's made 4 starts. And his last one against the White Sox, it was good. But the 3 before that, he gave up 17 runs, 24 hits, over 14 innings. ERA was at 10.29. Not so good. And you started to hear the whispers a little bit like, uh-oh, did the league figure him out? Is he a bust again? Fire Mo and Ollie. They don't know what they're doing. Get rid of them. But whatever adjustments Libby has made after that game against Toronto, which is a tough lineup too, by the way, it's working. Sox, he ends up going, 6 innings, 2 runs, 4 Ks. But it's the White Sox. So you're like, well, it's the White Sox. You're supposed to beat those guys. And then you get the other boys. You get the Northsiders, the Cubs. In weather that felt like 103 degrees at game time, our man Libby goes 7 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits, 5 punchies, wins his 5th game of the season. He looked sharp. He looked confident. He looked like he was in command from the get-go. The only time that he had any sort of trouble was in that 5th inning when the Cubs hit him around a little bit. They got that leadoff double from Pete Crow Armstrong. Then former Cardinal Carson Kelly singles him home, because of course he does, because every time a Cardinal plays against us, they do something good. Had a couple hits in this one, but he gets the RBI single, cuts the lead in half to 2-1. Nico Horner follows that up with a single. But here's where the Cardinals defense stepped up twice, actually, in this inning. Justin Turner grounds one to the right side. Brendan Donovan, he makes that nice play on it, knocks it down, gets the out at first base. Keeping the ball on the infield was key there. That is what he had to do, because it more than likely saves a run. I can't promise you they would have sent the runner there, but probably, that's not Jordan Walker's arm out in right field on Monday night. That was Alec Burleson, who still has a good arm, but it's not Jordan Walker. But that likely saves a run. And then Libby would lose the next hitter to set up a bases loaded 1-out situation for Ian Happ. Again, the Cardinal killer. So many times over the years, you got Happ coming up and just breaking the hearts of Cardinals fans with home runs and clutch hits. And in his career against the Cardinals, if you don't believe me, 257 batting average coming into this game, 26 home runs and 59 RBIs in 110 games. The only team that he kills more than St. Louis is the Reds, who he's got 31 dingers and 86 ribbies against in 121 games. So not the guy you really want to see up there in that situation if you've got a Cardinal uniform on. But here, he gets aggressive and swings at the very first pitch that Libby gives to him. And Libby, because I'm sure he's thinking that, like, Libby's going to try to get ahead in the count, that he's just going to get something over the plate and Happ's going to get something to drive. And Libby, if you watch, actually missed his spot on this particular pitch. Pages is set up inside, so they're trying to get in on Happ and jam him. The cutter actually stayed on the outside part of the plate, but Happ is out in front on it, and he pulls it down over to third base to Arenado, who starts the 5-4-3 DP to end the threat. You had Nico Horner, I think it was, on second base at this time, and he tried to get Nato to flinch on the play by stopping and like doing some kind of weird dance that was going. I don't know. He was trying to be a distraction, is what he was doing. He started running back to second, but this isn't Nato's first rodeo. Son, put your games down. Stop fooling around. He fires to second base. You get a nifty turn by Brendan Donovan at the bag, who had Shaw like bearing down on him. And that was just a major momentum switch because the Cubs were ready to strike. That's normally where we know what's going to happen. It feels like that Haft's probably going to plug a gap there or something, right? And get 2 win. But Libby gets out of it. He's pumped afterwards. Cardinals took over the game from there on out. Like, just were in complete control. Riley O'Brien and Roddery Munoz, your bottom 2 on the totem pole in the bullpen. They get to work the final 2 innings. So that's awesome. Cardinals win at 8-2. Honestly, you couldn't have asked for a much better win and a better opening game to this series for the Cardinals. Everything kind of went according to plan, the way you would want to map it out. A convincing victory. You get the 4 home runs. Your starter goes 7. You didn't have to use any of your top bullpen guys. Just a hell of a job by everyone all around. So very pleasing to watch. Very enjoyable to watch. And, in Monday's show, I talked about, bringing that same fire and energy that they did against the Dodgers earlier this year, where they won 2 of 3. And that's what we saw. That's what we saw in this game as well. We saw that same kind of focus and preparation, and you saw everybody was zoned in. And I know it's not easy to do every game. There's going to be tough games like Sunday. They did not have that look. They didn't have that eye of the tiger, if you will. But they're prepared because they know they're the underdogs against the Cubs in this series and how important this series is going to be as they move forward towards the All-Star break. So it was great to see them play as well as they did. We got some news and notes on the way, plus a preview of tonight's game coming up on Locked On Cardinals. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where exactly did all my money go? Between dining out, which, like, if you go eat fast food these days, it's just as expensive as a restaurant. Like, it's crazy. Online shopping, needs certain things around the house. You just kind of hit the button and boom, it shows up. You don't realize how quickly the money is leaving the account. So it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO. Gives you full visibility and control over your finances, because Monarch Money is not just a budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center. You'll be able to track all your accounts. You'll be able to track investments if that's something you do. And you can do your spending, and you get to do it all in one place, so you can stop managing your money and actually start building some wealth. Spending on food delivery is obviously something that is prevalent in our world these days, the DoorDashes and stuff like that. Very easy to lose track of how much money you're spending on that stuff. So Monarch Money can help you budget smarter and save you some money as well. And you don't have to juggle multiple apps. You can use Monarch to check your finances, the spending, plan some long-term goals. And if you're married or you have a partner, it makes managing your money together that much more smoother. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals together, and do it on the same page without any of the stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Thanks again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. Be sure to check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. And we go live after those West Coast games all wrap up. So if you want to come in and talk a little smack about the Cubs, or Cubs fans, you want to talk about the Cardinals, you can do that too. But it's usually a lot of West Coast people are in there at the end of the night after those games wrap up. And we have a good time. Me and John Frisch from Locked On Angels host Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So if you get a chance, come by, check us out. All right, notes and stuff from last night's game. How about this? Only the second time in 156 games between the Cardinals and Cubs since Busch Stadium 3 opened in 2006 that the Cardinals hit 4 home runs. The other game was on September 26th. 2017. That little nugget from Rob Raines. Cardinals were 8 of 14 with 2 outs in the game, while the Cubs were just 2 of 9. Doing damage with 2 outs, you know as well as I do, it is like a kick to the beanbag. You know what I'm talking about. Like, it is not cool. 2-out walks, 2-out hits, 2-out home runs. Like all of those things that really just drive you nuts is what the Cardinals did to the Cubs in this particular game. In the latest round of voting for the All-Star game, the Cardinals have no players among the top 4 vote getters at their position. Their highest tracking players, Donovan, again, like I mentioned earlier, ranked 5th among NL second basemen. That is absurd. How many people live in the Cardinal metropolitan area? How many of you live just in the Midwest? Go vote. It takes like 2 minutes to go vote. It is so simple. And they do it where, and you get 5 a day, and they do it where it copies what your votes were. So you just click the button 4 more times, say vote, 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 and it's over. So go do it. Go do it. And there's some interesting battles going on, but the Cardinals are not among any of them. And, you know, considering where they are in the standings and how many wins they got and how impressive they've been, it's a little shocking. They're not getting a little more love than they are, but I get it. I get it because there's not a lot of superstar names on the roster. So I understand why. Another guy that certainly is starting to deserve some all-star votes. How about Alec Burleson? Last 55 at-bats, he's hit .345. And over his last 25 at-bats, he's got 9 RBIs, which is the 3rd most among all NL players. That's behind Christian Yelich, who had that 8 RBI game recently. And then Washington's James Wood, who's just a freak and is having an incredible season for the Washington Nationals that nobody is really paying attention to because of the fact that they're not winning. And it feels like it's only a matter of time before Davey Martinez gets replaced as the manager of that particular squad. And let me check out the updated National League batting averages. Oh, yeah, there they are, 3 and 4. So in batting average in the National League, Will Smith, catcher for the Dodgers, leads at 328. Freddie Freeman is second at 321. And then it's Alec Burleson and Brendan Donovan tied for 3rd place at 307. Yet nobody nationally is talking about these guys. So I don't mind that there are dirty little secret, but I just feel like they should be getting more love than they are, just a little bit. But yeah, Alec, his biscuits, been on a tear, man. So he's certainly a guy, maybe you want to scoop him up in your fantasy league if you haven't already, because he's playing against lefties and righties and hitting everybody. Victor Scott stole his 22nd base of the season on Monday. He's got 5 over the last 15 days, which ties him with C.J. Abrams, also from the Washington Nationals, for the most in the National League. On the season, he's now 4 behind NL stolen base leader O'Neal Cruz from Pittsburgh, and he's 7 off the pace of the MLB leader, which is Jose Caballero for the Rays, who has got 29. But, Victor Scott, when he's getting on base, he's taking off, which is all we ever wanted. It's like, let him loose. Take the leash off. Let him run. And he's doing it. So if he gets on base even more, imagine what that kind of weapon could be for the Cardinals moving forward. P. Crow Armstrong, as good as advertised. If you hadn't seen him play before Monday, you got a pretty good example of what he's been doing. 2 for 3 with a double, 2 runs scored, and made what is normally a difficult catch in center field look just routine when he robbed Brendan Donovan of maybe another home run, at least extra bases. The dude is ridiculous. He's a special talent, man, and he's a lot of fun to watch. So, but even though he had a good game, the Cardinals were able to slow down this Cubs offense. It's mainly because the Cubs' top 4 in the order, Happ, Tucker, Suzuki, and Swanson, when it combined 1 for 16 in this game with 4 strikeouts, was very much key to keeping them quiet, because PCA, batting 5th, had himself a really good game, and they had a few hits from the lower half of the order, but the top of the order, just nothing. So, hey, you keep them quiet, it's pretty much how you're going to beat a lot of teams. If you can keep the top of the order quiet, usually things will work out. Crowd of 27,058 gathered in the heat to see this game. Smallest Cubs-Cardinals crowd in St. Louis in a non-pandemic season since 1995. Heat was obvious a factor. 103 degrees, they said at first pitch is what it felt like in St. Louis. And it was a weeknight. I get it. I thought it would be busier. I really did. I thought it would be busier. We'll see if things improve, if things cool off a little bit. Now with the win, and the Brewers lost to Pittsburgh. Thank you, Bucks. Thank you, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, with the triple to bring the game-winning run around for the Pirates last night. The Cardinals are now tied with Milwaukee for second place in the division. They're both 3.5 back of the Cubs, and thanks to another Padres loss, they're now tied for third in the wild card. So it's the Brewers and the Cardinals in that third wild card spot in the National League right now. I know it's a long way to go. Plenty of time going on here, but it is what it is right now. And if you told me, or I told you, vice versa, whatever, that on June 24th, the Cardinals would be in a playoff spot coming into the season, you would have laughed at me. And I probably would have laughed at you if you told me that, because nobody really saw this coming. And give credit. Do it. Give credit to Ali and Mo and these people. But a lot of credit goes to like Brant Brown, Dusty Blake. They've done a lot with not a lot in the clubhouse. Like, these guys are good players, but again, not a lot of superstars that we're talking about, not people that, are going to be page turners, but they're all doing jobs and doing the right things. And this is the kind of baseball the Cardinals fans love. It's the kind of stuff I love. It's why I dig teams like the Tampa Bay Rays, who are a similar squad where it's just, there's not a lot of superstars, but they do the things the right way, play good defense, good pitching, solid bullpen, situational hitting, fundamentals. You do that stuff, and you're going to win a lot of baseball games. And the Cardinals have been able to do that more times than not this year. Michael McGreevy, excited to see him back on the mound tonight, starting for the Cardinals. I think Roderick Munoz is the guy that's going to be sent out after his appearance on Monday. The Cubs will roll with Jameson Taillon. He's been pretty good against Cardinals over his career. 6-2, 3.33 ERA in 16 starts. Got hit pretty good by Milwaukee his last time out. So hopefully the Cardinals are checking out some video. I'm sure they are, on what were the keys to beating Jameson Taillon. He allowed 5 runs on 8 hits, including 2 home runs in just 4 innings of work. Not a huge strikeout guy. Not going to walk it either. So let's keep those bats hot, just like the weather, just like the summertime in the loop. All right, that was a good game on Monday. I hope another good one for us on Tuesday. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio, TikTok and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals. Of course, on YouTube, making a push for 13,000 subscribers. If you're a Cardinals fan and this content is the stuff you like, please hit that subscribe button. It helps me out immensely. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason, and we will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.